Session 3 of the Earnings Potential Workshop. In this session, we will be looking at training and preparation. Please send any questions you have to the Q&A in the chat. After the presenters, I will be able to direct your questions. Today, I have the privilege of introducing to you our next speaker. He obtained his Master's of Business Administration with a focus on management. He has a postgraduate diploma in Human Resources Management. He has certificates in Financial Securities and Strategic Investment for institutions. He has worked both locally and internationally in private and public sector organizations such as Bank of Nova Scotia, JAMPRO, and at Hart NTA, where he held the position of entrepreneurial specialist. He currently holds the position of training and development specialist at the National Work Agency. Along with his wife, Akishma, he also owns and operates Ainings Party Place. He has been a disciple for over 14 years. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Alain Fisher.
Okay, good morning, everyone. And thank you for having me today. I just want to use this opportunity to also commend the church in having a workshop like this. I believe it's quite timely and necessary at this time. Just gonna go ahead and share my screen. Okay. Can everybody hear me okay? Can just...
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. And everybody seeing the screen clearly?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. All right, our topic this morning that I'll be looking at is navigating and succeeding in a rapidly changing economic environment. I believe previously Mr. Coley looked at entrepreneurship. In this presentation, we're going to be looking at it from the employee's perspective. So just an overview of what we're going to go through. First, we're going to look at what's happening in the world economy. We're not going to do an analysis, but we're going to look at those major changes that's happening in the world economy and how it will affect us. We're going to look at the impact of the pandemic. Obviously, we're living through a pandemic and it has affected us in many ways. Then we're going to look at how can I prepare to take part in this ever-changing world economy as somebody looking for employment. Then we're going to look at job hunting, and I purposely use that word job hunting. It's a proactive statement. We can't just sit down and expect jobs to come to us. We have to go out there and try and get them. Then we're going to look at resume writing, some basics regarding resume writing. And then we're going to be looking at the interviewing process and giving some pointers there. So let's get started. The world economy, what does it look like? What does it look like now? The first thing I'd want to bring to your attention is the significant impact of artificial intelligence. And you may be asking, what does that mean? Artificial intelligence basically is computer softwares using information about you, and in doing that, they are able to determine what products or services best meet your needs, right? So previously we would be having probably somebody in a marketing department doing this kind of analysis. Computers are now doing this kind of analysis for us. And the main takeaway here is that more and more we're finding that computers are becoming more and more intelligent, so to speak, right? They're doing more and more of the brain work that would previously be done by others. And we'll speak more about that later on in the presentation, how that affects us. Contraction of the business life cycle. Now, basically, most businesses have four areas in the business life cycle that they go through. They start up the business, then there's a growth stage, then they mature, that's a plateau stage, and then they decline or they find another business venture to go in to start the process all over again. And normally, that the whole business life cycle takes some time, normally the region of about 20 years. That is now, we're finding now that that is being contracted significantly, where companies can go through that life cycle in 5 years, right? Sometimes even less, right? And that has major implication for us. That brings us to the next thing that we have been noticing in the world economy, and that is there's more short-term work, or work is being projectized, so to speak, right? Because the business life cycle is being contracted for a lot of businesses, they don't take employees on or workers on a long-term basis anymore. They normally take them on a short-term contractual basis, or they normally take them on as part of a project team, which has a definitive end date, right? So that also, as you can imagine, will have implications for us. The application of technology to solve problems. We're seeing that happening more and more, in that people are now looking to use technology in ways that it hasn't been used before. I can tell you a prime example is, I know where I work, we have what we call a HRMIS, or Human Resource Management Information System. And that piece of technology, or that piece of software, is now doing a lot of the things that would formerly be done by human beings, by us, the workers. For example, you know, normally if you would apply for something like leave or vacation, you normally fill out a form, you would send that into the human resource department. It would be approved by the necessary persons, and you know, you would get back a letter saying that your leave or your vacation is approved. Now all of that is done virtually, right? The person applies for their leave online, their supervisor approves the leave by clicking on a button, and the system automatically sends a response to the person applying for the leave. So in that whole transaction process, there are only, whereas before there might have been 2, 3, 4 persons involved, there are now only 2 persons involved: the person applying for the leave and the person approving the leave. The filing, the correspondence, everything is done virtually. That's just one example of how we're using technology to solve or to improve efficiency or improve cost. The next thing that we're noticing about the world economy is that there is a movement away from cash and a movement towards things like digital currency, PayPal, online bank transfers. That's becoming more and more the norm, right? And that has implications for us. Very few places are taking cash anymore. Most places are offering that facility where you can pay for stuff virtually, online, using PayPal, or even using digital currency. We're noticing that it's been happening before, but it's progressing at a much more rapid pace now, and that is the whole concept of a borderless economy. And that is that, you know, I can be here in Jamaica and I can be employed to a company in the States, or I can be employed to a company in the Middle East. Anywhere in the world, I can be employed, and I don't necessarily have to go there to carry out my job function. You know, we've seen that happen more and more, even here in Jamaica. My own organization where I work now, that many of the tasks that we would normally have somebody in office working on, we now have people from wherever they are domiciled working on those projects, being paid as they normally would, but they're just not here locally, physically in Jamaica. So how has the pandemic affected us? We have seen where all economies, including our own, have been contracted. There's been a slowdown of travel. There's been a slowdown of the movement of goods and services. People are home, so that has caused the economy to contract. There's less business activity taking place. There's been significant job loss. We've seen that both locally, and we've seen that overseas also, that a lot of people have been losing their jobs. Virtual everything. This presentation that I'm doing is a prime example. This workshop that we're having is a prime example. Everything is virtual. I seem to remember the last time we did such a workshop like this in church. It was in person. Now I am at home doing this presentation to you, for you. And that is so with everything else. We're seeing virtual weddings, we're seeing virtual funerals, we're seeing everything that we'd normally get together for. We're seeing virtual get-togethers, you know, so, you know, everything now is gone virtual, and that's a direct result of the pandemic. Remote working and learning, right? I know for a long time at my organization, we have been speaking about training virtually or working virtually or having people access training virtually. And it hadn't really happened before the pandemic. COVID-19 has forced us to do that, to do a lot of these, carry out a lot of these functions from home, and to carry out a lot of our learning functions remotely and not in person. Online shopping and delivery, everything, right? The pandemic has accelerated this aspect of the economy, where companies that didn't have an online profile before now have one, now offer their products and services online. A lot of organizations which didn't have delivery before, we're seeing that, where especially the food industry has those who didn't deliver before are now delivering. Everything, it seems like everything is going online. Everything is being delivered to your doorstep. Most people don't go on the plaza anymore to do their regular shopping. They'd prefer, given the effects of the pandemic, to have it delivered to them. Okay, so given all that we have said about the economy and the effects of the pandemic, how can I play? How can I interact with this new ever-changing economy? The first thing is we need to have a plan, right? You need to have a clear idea of what it is that you want, what it is that you want to accomplish, what industry it is that you want to work in, what kind of job do you want? What are the gaps between where I am now and where I want to be in terms of what I need to actually get those jobs, and how you're going to get there. Something that has been very popular of late is this whole idea of doing a vision board, and that's quite useful, and very useful, in fact, to give you some clear direction as to what it is that you want, what it is that you want to accomplish. But that needs to be broken down further into a plan, small steps that you can take to achieve those goals, right? So you have to have a plan as to how you want to interact with this new economy to get where it is that you want to go. So having a plan is critical. Continuous learning. As we said before, the economy is rapidly changing. It is ever changing. It's constantly changing. And that being the case, you constantly have to be on the learning curve. You constantly have to learn about what the new changes are and how it's going to impact you. You have to be in a situation or put yourself in the mindset where you are continuously learning. You're continuously taking on new skills that you didn't have before. You're consistently informing yourself about the industry that you're a part of, the company that you're a part of, the new players in that industry. That is something that you have to commit yourself to doing on a daily basis. Create value, and this is very important. Previously, you'd send out a resume, companies would take you on, probably train you, bring you up to speed before you start having or creating value for them. Given the state of the world economy now, very few companies are willing to do that, right? They want you to come on board and be able to create value for them. As we said before, most world economies are in recession, and the only way you can pull yourself out of recession is by creating new value, creating new products, creating new services. And they want people to come into their organizations who are able to do that. So you need to have that mindset that how is it, think about it, how is it that you are going to create value for this organization that you're going to be a part of, right? That needs to be in the forefront of your mind and your mindset. How am I going to create value for this organization that I'm going to be a part of? And if there are any gaps or unsurety about how you're going to do that, what are the skills that I need to obtain to be able to create value for an organization or company? The next thing is we need to realize that world-class is the standard. As we said before, the economy in which we operate now is essentially borderless, right? So you're not competing against somebody who is domiciled in Jamaica. You're not only competing against people who are in Jamaica, but you are competing against that person who is in the States, that person who is in another Caribbean island, that person who is in Africa, elsewhere. So your standard, so the standard that you're expected to deliver on is a world-class standard, right? Not just a Jamaican standard, not just I can get by standard, not that this is just okay standard, but what is the standard for this activity that I'm carrying out from a worldwide basis, right? We have to reevaluate our education, right? In other words, what I mean by that is that we have to begin thinking out of the box. We need to begin to look at education from a cost-benefit analysis point of view, right? Before, I remember when I went to school, it was a given. You went to high school and it was just expected that you would go on to university, regardless of what that cost. Many people would have taken student loans, parents would have paid for it, whatever the case may be. And many of us at the time would have come out looking for jobs, and it took us a good while to find work. Some of us even ended up finding work outside of our area of study. And a lot of that is the economy, yes, but a part of that has to do with we didn't have a clear vision or a clear plan as to what we wanted to do with our education. I don't believe that is an option anymore. We need to look at our education or what we want to do with a clear plan, a clear objective in mind as to what we want to do with this degree and how it's going to benefit us from a financial point of view, given the cost of that education. Education is very expensive, right? So we need to ensure that it's quality, What I mean by quality, we need to ensure that the institutions that we're going to are accredited, are at the cutting edge, are giving value for money. And also I have a clear plan as to what I'm going to do with this certification when I get it. How is it going to benefit me from a financial point of view, given what the cost is going to be, the outlay of cost is going to be. You know, somebody told me this, a young man told me this statement some time ago. Where the car of change is driving, opportunity is in the passenger seat. You know, many of us, you know, when change is happening, you know, we're nervous, we're anxious. What's going to happen? How am I going to cope? We also need to remember that the person who is able to get past that and look at the opportunities, because believe me, guys, wherever there is change, there is also an opportunity to make money or an opportunity to progress, right? If you ask most successful business people or most corporate executives or most people who are successful, that is the case. Their success or their road to success started with some kind of change, some kind of transformative change. So we need to get in a mindset where, you know, yes, there's change and change is happening rapidly, but what are the opportunities? Who are the companies who are going to be succeeding or benefiting because of this change? How can I attach myself to them? If I'm part of an organization, what are some of the things that my organization can do to take advantage of this change that is happening, right? As we said before, it's critically important that we create value for the organizations that we're a part of. And a big part of that is being an intrapreneur. An entrepreneur, as we know, is a business person, but an intrapreneur is an individual who is an employee of an organization, but he behaves in a similar fashion to an entrepreneur. He's creating value, he's looking for opportunities, and he's taking advantage of opportunities on behalf of the organization that he or she is a part of. Communicate like you belong. And as I said before, this might be easy for those recently leaving school or young people. May not be so easy for people of my age group, for example, and that is to communicate like you belong. As we said before, everything is going online. Everything is virtual. Everything is digital. So we need to communicate or interact with that environment like you belong. So some basic things that we need to have as employees, which I know from where I sit, I work in HR, from where I sit, many people still don't have these things. And one of those things, simple thing, is a bank account and with access to online banking. You know, that's a given for this new environment that we operate in. Email address, a LinkedIn account. Those are things that are a given for the environment that we now operate in, right? So we need to behave. If most of us have smartphones, we need to be able to use it. We need to be able to use WhatsApp effectively to communicate, right? That's part of communicating in this new environment like you belong, right? You know, we don't want to take it for granted, but just to say that in order to be part of this new economy, we have to be able to communicate in this fashion. It's a lot easier for our young people because they grew up with this technology, but those who are a little bit older, we need to get with it. We need to be able to communicate that like we belong. The importance of social media. Now, I can't stress this enough, especially for our, well, I can't even specifically say for our young people, but in general, guys, remember your social media platform that you're a part of. That means your Facebook page, your LinkedIn accounts, your Twitter accounts, etc. It speaks to you, right? So you need to ensure that your digital footprint is in line with what you want to say about yourself, right? So it's very important that you have a look at what's on your Facebook page. You have a look at what's on your Twitter account. You have a look at any digital platform that you're a part of. Remember, I can tell you for a fact, somebody sends in a resume to any organization, even my own. I know the first thing we do before we even call any references is that we check their social media. We check their Facebook page, we check their Twitter account. That gives us a good indication as to the type of person you are. All organizations, all HR professionals do this now, right? So you need to bear that in mind and ensure that it speaks the way you want it to speak about you. Okay, as we say, job hunting, it's a proactive activity, right? So you have to go after it. In Jamaica, we say we go and look it, right? So first thing, hunt everywhere, right? We have to think out of the box. We are in a recession, a world recession because of the pandemic. So we're not going to necessarily find our jobs in the normal places. Remember, guys, you're not limited. I think the pandemic has shown us and brought it to the fore. You're not limited to jobs in Jamaica. You can carry out jobs just as well in the US, in Germany, in Italy, wherever it is, and you don't have to leave Jamaica. Bear that in mind. Also bear in mind that you need to be part. There are a lot of job websites out there. Caribbean Jobs is a popular one. Monster Jobs is another one. You can Google them. There are many of them out there. Look which one best suits your needs. Sign up. You can, and most of them will even allow you to put in what types of jobs you are looking for, and it will automatically send it to your email address so you can apply for it right away. Gone are the days where we carry in resumes to organizations, guys. Most organizations will require that you send in your applications online. So ensure that if you're looking for work, or even if you want to change jobs, that you are part of these job sites, that you have signed up for at least, I would say, 2 of them at the minimum. That you have a LinkedIn account. LinkedIn allows you to do the same thing, where you can put in what types of jobs what type of job it is that you're looking for, and it will send you a prompt in your email when those jobs come on screen, come up. So that is something that you can do. Hunt everywhere, hunt locally, hunt abroad. Ensure that if you are part of a particular industry or profession, that you belong to their professional groups. I know the engineers have an association, the doctors have association, the customer service representatives have association, the housekeepers have an association, human resource professional have every single career path you can think of has an association, and that's also a good source of finding work, right? Most, if not all of them, have websites that that they will give you information as to how to join, and they will all have job postings. Another good place to look is that, as I said before, most organizations worth their salt nowadays have an online platform or profile, have a website, and they post their job openings there also. So that's also a good way to find work that you need to check on a regular basis. Also good old-fashioned networking. We have a wide network of people in church and elsewhere. We need to ensure that people know that we're looking for work. And also be your brother's keeper. That if you know that you have a friend or a church brother or sister is looking for work, you have come across a job, it doesn't quite suit you, pass it on. Maybe they can access that job. As I said before, focus on what you bring to the table. That needs to be, as I said before, that needs to be at the forefront of your mind. You've seen how many times I've repeated that throughout this presentation. You need to be able to bring something to the table. You need to bring value to the table, right? And you need to prepare yourself or equip yourself to do that. What is the value? You need to be clear on what value it is that you are bringing to the organization that you hope to be a part of. Experience, experience, experience. You know, somebody asked me one time, it's sell a shop. A young person asked me that, you know, because every time they go out and they do an interview, the same, you don't have any experience. Guys, you're not going to get the experience in the traditional sense, all right? So we have to look for experience in the non-traditional areas, right? One way of getting experience is to be active, especially in church. You know, I have noticed when I log into our church service, you know, from time to time, different ministries will be asking for different people to volunteer. Now, that's an excellent way of getting experience. You know, I know the people who are involved in, for example, putting on this presentation. I know at least one young person is a part of it. But that's excellent experience that can translate to your resume. Volunteer. You know, go to organizations or go to individuals and volunteer your services, right? In my own organization, I know of at least 3 individuals who volunteered their services. Initially, they came to the organization and volunteered their services and are now permanently employed to the organization, right? There's one individual I know who, I work for National Works Agency, who was a part of our road patching crew. And now he works in our IT department as a supervisor, right? So it's important. Volunteerism is important. Getting involved in your community is important, and that can translate to your resume as experience, right? If you do it the right way. Get your foot in the door. You know, you may not necessarily start out or get that the job that it is that you want in the first instance, but get your foot in the door. And what I mean by that, and I see it in my organization all the time, you may want job X, but job X is not available now, but job Y is available and you are qualified for job Y. May not be the ideal job that you want, may not pay what you want, but it's a way of getting your foot in the door, getting yourself into that industry or that organization that you want. So in time, what invariably happens with those individuals, in my experience, is that eventually the job that they want becomes available and they're able to apply for it, and they have a distinct advantage over somebody who is not part of the organization in getting that job, right? Because employers are more inclined to promote somebody into a position that they know they have this person has worked with them, they know this person's work ethic, etc., capabilities, rather than getting somebody who they know very little about outside the organization to put them in that job. Now, I wanted to spend a little time about this concept of your dream job. For example, you know, many people out there will tell you that they have a dream job that they want, or out of school, there's this, there's a dream job that they want to have. Now, guys, I'm here to tell you that there's no such thing as a dream job per se. And what do I mean by that? if the job that you're going to you're going into in an organization, remember that is somebody else's dream, the person who created that organization, right? That's their dream, right? So you going into that job, it means that you are part of making their dream happen. So I'm not saying that you won't find a job that is quite suitable to you, but it will never be perfect, right? It will never be perfect. There will always be something about that job which is not ideal. But what you want to do is ensure that the benefits outweigh the deficits. Okay, resume writing, style and formatting. There are many different styles of resumes out there. What I would say to most people is ensure that you choose a style that speaks to you. Okay, ensure that it speaks to you. Ensure also that when you send out your resume, that it is you send it in PDF form, because many times, you know, when you send it in a particular software, etc., it doesn't normally translate when the person gets it. I understand that I'm out of time, so I'm going to go through this quickly. Get the basics right. Ensure that your grammar is on point, your spelling is on point. Those things are important, and that it brings out, of course, what we have been saying before, what it is that you bring to the table. So you need to verify your competencies and skills. Make sure that they are verifiable competence and skills. In other words, I have done this. I have worked on this project. We achieved this. Your age and sex should not be included on your resume, and this is very important. I know in the US, it's a legal requirement that your age and sex should not be included on your resume, and those are for reasons of discrimination. Interviewing, prepare for the interview. Know about the industry, know about the organization that you are interviewing for. Just try and know as much information as possible. Prepare yourself and know what's on your resume. And it might sound, oh, that's obvious, but many people don't know exactly what's on the resume. So when questions are asked from the resume, they don't answer correctly, right? That's not something that should happen. Know your resume. Know your worth, as I said before, know what you bring to the table. Look the part. You know, ensure that you're groomed properly, you're dressed properly for the interview. Both parties are being interviewed. Remember that they are not only interviewing you, but you are interviewing them to ensure that you are a good fit. Be prepared for virtual interviews. A lot of interviews are happening now virtually and not in person, so be prepared for that. And that doesn't mean that you shouldn't dress the part, guys. You need to dress the part even if the interview is virtual. Psychometric testing, that is also becoming more and more common, and that is to determine best fit, right? So the psychometric test will determine aptitudes, and it's also a personality test to ensure that you fit within the organization. So be prepared for that, to do that. Practicals and presentations. Many organizations will give a practical to ensure that you actually can do the work, or will ask you to make a presentation on an area of the work that you're going to be doing. So what are the main takeaways? Rapidly changing technology-based economy is here. It's not only here, guys. It's not only here, but it's here to stay. We're going to find things will happen very rapidly, and things will be ever changing in the environment that we operate in. COVID-19 has just accelerated a lot of these changes that have been happening, right? Many of these things have been talked about before, but the onset of COVID-19, the pandemic, has accelerated a lot of these changes that we see happening. Plan, evolve, and aim to be world-class, and that speaks for itself. Ensure that we have a plan, ensure that we are flexible, we're able to evolve. And of course, the standard, as we said before, is world-class. You're not just competing with people in Jamaica. The world is your marketplace. As we said before, you're not just limited to Jamaica, but look for jobs. all over the world, right? Your resume must speak to what you bring to the table. You must be able to create value. And of course, prepare. Better to be over prepared than be under prepared. And that's it, guys. Thanks for listening. I hope there are nuggets of value there that you can take and apply. Thanks for listening. Okay.
Thank you, Elaine, for that instructive and practical presentation. Please wait with us as we will be having question and answer after the other presentations.
Okay.
Our next speaker will be from Heart NSTA Trust. They will be speaking to us on training and preparation. Please welcome Colleen Brighton Edwards and Jason Jacquet.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thanks for having me. As was mentioned, my name is Jason Jacquet, and my colleague, Colleen Francis Brand, will be assisting with this presentation. For ease, I will be doing the presentation and my colleague will be facilitating the question and answer. Clear? Now, as was mentioned, I'm a recruitment officer with Heart NSTA Trust, and Heart NSTA is actually an acronym, which means the Human Employment and Resource Training. That's for the Heart, and the NSTA is for National Service Training Agency Trust. Just a quick overview of our organization. Heart was established in 1982 by our former Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Edward Seaga. Now, it was his vision for the Jamaican workforce to be trained and certified to international standard, and that they would be equipped with the necessary knowledge, skills, and attitude needed for a greater level of productivity. Now, we are lost without a mission, vision, and how we operate. We are guided by some basic core values, and our mission is to facilitate and ensure the development of human capital. And what does that mean? It means that within our working environment, within our country, Jamaica, and by extension, our neighboring Caribbean countries, and by extension, our international partners, our workers must be at a level where they can compete with other persons. So they must be trained to the highest level and they must be certified. And we're guided by 8 core values: respect, care, relevance, teamwork, integrity, quality, accountability, and customer focus. And the vision: a globally competitive workforce impacting nation building through human capital development. So it is of most importance that the human capital is at the level where they can compete globally. Hence, we stress human development in both our mission and our vision. Now, I'll be taking you through some of our programs. And I must state that we are not just limited to training institution. There are a number of programs that we offer to the working age Jamaican, age 17 and older. But for the first part of this presentation, I'll be taking you through our institution and community training interventions. Now, we are located in all 14 parishes of Jamaica. So wherever you are in Jamaica, you can access our training. And we have our institution training that is 31 institutions and approximately 78 community projects across the country. Now, the difference between the institution and the community projects is that the institutions, those are the established, owned and operated by the organization. For example, the Hart College of Beauty Services, most persons would have known it by Portmore Hart, or the Runaway Bay Hart Training Institution, which is now the Cardiff Hart College of Hospitality Services, that's down in Runaway Bay, St. Anne. Now, what are the community projects? For example, churches. Within the community, there are churches that facilitate training on behalf of Hart NSTA. One example is Boulevard Baptist. They offer training in food preparation. Another example is the Trinity Moravian. They offer training in housekeeping. So those are just two examples of our community training projects that are within the Kingston and St. Andrew, which is a part of Region 1. A very important point to note is that all our programs are approved and accredited by the NCTVET and UCJ. NCTVET is the acronym for National Council and TVET, National Council and Technical and Vocational Education Training, which is our certifying body for our programs, and UCJ, University Council of Jamaica. So all our programs are accredited by those two entities. And it is very important that once you select a training, whether it's with Hart or any other training institution, it is very important that you check their accreditation and ensure that you are getting value. Ensure that whatever it is that they say that they're going to be training you in, that's what you're being trained as. Now, how do we determine what programs we offer within Hart? So we don't just select programs out of a hat. We are guided by the Vision 2030, and there are some important sectors that were mentioned by the Prime Ministers that we need to focus on: agriculture, construction, the creative industry, ICT, which is information technology, manufacturing, services, and tourism. Now, with those industries, we have selected carefully right across Jamaica among our institutions those that are suitable based on their location. For example, agriculture is in the rural areas in Clarendon, Tollgate Clarendon, that's by Ebony Park. Construction, that's within Region 1, that's right across our region. So you can find it in all parishes. And for example, IT is also in all the parishes. Tourism, we focus on the North Coast. Those are in St. Anne, St. James, Trelawney, and there are also programs in Kingston and St. Andrew. So let us go through the list of training opportunities within Region 1. And I must state that Region 1 is Kingston and St. Andrew. And by extension, based on the geographic layout, we have included St. Catherine in this listing. It's not a part of Region 1, but we have included St. Catherine. So, for example, someone wants to do access training in automotive. They can do motor vehicle engine system, level 2, that's done at Jagas. Motor vehicle repairs, level 3 is also done at Jagas, that's a Jamaican Automotive German School. It's also done in Old Harbor, that's in St. Catherine. And they also offer motor vehicle body repairs. Construction. You can access construction at HCCS, that's Art College of Construction Services, formerly Portmore Hart, or it can be accessed at Rockfort. You can also do concreting, carpentry, and furniture making, both at Rockfort and HCCS. Building construction, electrical installation, plumbing, wall and floor tiling, and welding. Those can be also accessed at Portmore Hart, Old Harbor, the National Tools and Engineering, Lloydersville, and Rockfort. If you choose to do engineering, engineering can be done at the National Tools, Lloydersville, metalwork, air conditioning, domestic consumer electronics, mechanical maintenance, and plant maintenance. Sorry. Very important point to note is that we take our trainees from the very basic. So if you're at a level 1, you are welcome to join our program. And we take you to the degree level, which is our level 5. And those training can be accessed at the VTDI, Vocational Training and Development Institute, that's located in Gordontown. That's the high level location for all our training. The business sector. Business can be accessed at Stony Hill, Rockfort, and Garmix. Some of the courses include accounting, business administration, customer service, and our newest, which is the call center operations. Marketing and promotion, that can be accessed at Boys Town, Lloydersville, and Old Harbor. And the list goes on for our Stony Hill, network support, network administration, network engineering. So that's our IT. IT can be done at Stony Hill. Early childhood education, that's also can be accessed at Stony Hill and Garmix. And as was mentioned, hospitality areas, it can be done at Boys Town or the most popular known Runaway Bay Hart College of Hospitality Services. And that includes food and beverage, food preparation, and housekeeping. The creative industry. The creative industry, which includes art and craft, which is jewelry making, pattern cutting, mural drawing. Those can be done at Leap Center, Garmix, Old Harbor, and Garmix. And the beauty industry, which is done at the Premier Training Institute, which is at the Hart College of Beauty Services. And some of the programs that can be accessed at the Hart College of Beauty Services include barbering levels 2 and 3, cosmetology, general beauty therapy, massage therapy, makeup, and hairdressing. Now, how do you access those programs? How do you apply for those programs? You can visit our website at www.hartnsta.org, or you can visit any one of our parish offices within Region 1 which is located at 7 Ripon Road, Kingston 5, or 47B South Camp Road, or shop number 1, 32 Brunswick Avenue, Spanish Town. One moment, please. Now, what's the entry requirement to access our program? You must have a TRN. A TRN is compulsory. The first step in completing our application is entering of the TRN number. So if you want to access our training, the very first thing is that you must have your TRN number ready. Our training can be accessed by persons 17 years or older. So if you are 16 leaving high school, you're 15 leaving high school, you won't be able to access our training, and that's right across the board. Any one of our training, you must be 17 years or older. The requirement is that you sit a diagnostic assessment, and that diagnostic assessment, which is a math and English grade 9 level, all multiple choice, 60 question, and the requirement is that you get 25 out of that 60. If you have any one CXC, you will forego sitting that diagnostic assessment. So any one CXC will exempt you from sitting the diagnostic test, and you'll be well on your way to starting any one of our training program at any one of our institution-based training or community-based training. Now, what are some of the other programs that we offer? We offer on-the-job training, volunteerism and mentorship, adult continuing education, and career services. Now, on-the-job learning. The program that falls under that heading is the SL-TOP, School Leavers Training Opportunity Program, and that is for persons who are just leaving high school between the ages 17 to 24 with 2 or more CXC subjects. You'll be placed in an organization for a year. During that time, you'll be considered as a trainee. You'll be doing training. However, you'll be going to work, meaning you'll be going to the workplace on a daily basis. You get dressed, go to work like any regular worker, but you're a trainee. You will not be paid a salary, you'll be paid a stipend. And the stipend is usually determined by the entity in which you are placed. However, your stipend will not be below the minimum wage. The only requirement is that you have 2 or more CXC. So once you have 2 or more CXC leaving high school, you will be qualified for that program. We also have the GWEP program, Graduate Work Experience Program, which provides work experience to tertiary graduates up to age 29. Now, this program is aimed at bridging the gap for persons leaving university with a degree who want to apply but have limited or no work experience. So once you complete your degree, this program is for you. It will provide valuable work experience that can be used to update your resume, to show employers that you have the necessary work experience for the position you're applying. Volunteerism and mentorship. The previous presenter spoke about volunteering. Volunteering is also very important in your development as you leave high school or leave university in gaining employment. it gives you the advantage, it gives you a foot through the door in terms of your employment. Now, for this program, you'll gain certification for your hours completed. And as I had mentioned, you can access employment. And a very important point to note is that at the end of this program, participants are awarded a certificate, and the most outstanding volunteer is usually recommended for the Prime Minister's National Youth Award. Adult Continuing Education, HSDE, High School Diploma Equivalency Program. Now, this program is one of our newest programs. We take persons from the very basic in terms of their education background. So for adults who are unable to read, to do basic calculation, we take them. Are you hearing me? Are you seeing me?
Yes, we can hear you, but hearing you. You can go ahead, Jason. Continue.
Okay, so for the Adult Continuing Education, HSD program, we take persons from the very basic, persons who are unable to read and calculate from grade 1. So you know of anyone in your community, anyone around you who doesn't know how to, for example, spell cat, but they're an adult. We have a program for them. We can assist in terms of getting them to the level where they can read for themselves, taking them to the point where they can function effectively. Then we take them to the next step, which is the intermediate level, and that is grade 7 to 9, which is the entry level for our training program. Now, once they're at that program, at that stage, they're able to access any one of our training programs. And if they so desire, we'll take them to the next step, grades 10 to 11, proficiency. And at that stage, they'll be able to access CXC subjects. Now, those program ranges from 6 months to 3 years. And a very important point to note is that our CXC classes, in comparison to the market, is at the very lowest level as it relates to cost. Now, we offer up to 5 CXC subjects, and the cost per subject is only $3,000 for the duration of the program. So if you choose to do 1 CXC, you'll pay $3,000 for the entire year to access that 1 CXC. And if you choose to do all 5 CXC subjects, it's $15,000 for the duration of the program. One payment. There's no other payment apart from the payment that is paid to the Overseas Examination Council. What are the subjects that are offered? We offer mathematics, English language, social studies, information technology, EDPM, and human social biology. Those are the only 5 subjects, CXC subjects, that are presently offered through this program. There are plans to extend, but for now, these are the 5. We also offer career services. So you want assistance in writing your resume, you can come to any one of our offices. We have trained career development officers who will assist you in writing your resume, preparing for the interview. career counseling in terms of choosing a career, choosing a training program that is best suited for you. And we also conduct psychometric assessment. Again, it looks at your aptitude. It assists you in choosing a training program that is best suited for you. So those are some of the services that can be accessed through our parish office, through the career development unit. Lastly, for high schoolers and university students, we now are accepting application for the Hope Youth Summer Work Program. So persons in high school who want to access summer work, you want to gain experience, you want to gain some financial assistance in going back to school, this summer work program is definitely for you. And the requirement, again, just like any one of our programs, you must have a TRN, it's compulsory. You must have a valid bank account for this program because you will be paid, and that bank account, it must be yours. It should not be a shared account. You should be the primary holder of this bank account. Once you have all those requirements, feel free to apply for this program for the summer. And that's the end of the presentation. My colleague is standing by for your questions. Thank you very much. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Jacquet, for that presentation.
So,
We do.
Suzanne,
Yes.
quick one. So just based on our agenda, we have some time. Well, we're over time, but we have a lot of questions in the chat.
Yes, I realize that.
What we're gonna do is we're going to allow for